Okay, so yesterday I had a question from a viewer about how hard it is to put a Santa hat on one of these bears. And while this is a bigger version of the bear, I just figured I would do a carving on a 1x1 bear and just put a Santa hat on him. So let's get into that. So normally, I would cut out the ears first, but in this case, obviously, there won't be any ears. They're tucked behind the hat. So what we're going to do is we're going to carve out the face shape and then jump into the back of the head where the hat goes. So we carve back, just like usual. We carve back the face shape, straight back for where the eyes are going to be. Okay. And then let's block out where the face will be on this bear. Okay. As always, make sure your knife is fairly sharp. Strop it if you have to. I always do before I start carving. Okay. I am always looking for an excuse to carve one of these bears, so this was not a problem at all. They are my favorite thing to carve by far. Carve this back slightly more. Give him more of a snout. Okay, so there's the head kind of blocked out. And then obviously we got to carve back a little bit here for the chin, underneath the chin, and make this more prominent. Okay. So the snout's pretty much revealed. And then we can carve off some of this raw wood here, and then make this a little bit narrower, this part of the snout. And then it doesn't need to be that blocky, be a little more defined. All right, something like this. Okay, now like I said, usually we'd put the ears somewhere around here, but in this case, there won't be any. So we're just going to kind of round off the head. Okay. Round it off like so. In fact, let's get rid of some of this raw wood up here. It'll take the paint a little bit better if we do that. And like I said, the ears will be tucked into the hat, so we don't really need to worry about that. But one thing that we probably should do is define the neck. So make a cut back here, okay? Make another cut back here. And that way we know where his neck is. We can cut that down, define that area. Okay. Oh. Clean this up slightly. Okay, now, as I stated before, we want to kind of round it forward. And then there's a couple of ways you could do this. You could simply paint the hat on, or you could define it like how I have it here, okay? So the idea is to generally sort of make a cut somewhere around the eyebrow line that goes down and then kind of comes into the back. And then drop it down like this, and then make a little circle in the back. And this is the the white part right here. And then just do the same thing on the other side, and of course cut it across the brow line here. And you can kind of define this line by cutting it out. Obviously, when you paint it, then it will become more obvious what it is. Get some sort of a Christmas looking red, and obviously a white. And we'll cut this down like this, sort of V-cutting our way down. I guess we could round this out a little bit. Okay. You can see that sort of a Santa hat's going on. This one's kind of falling down his back a little bit. If you wanted to, you could make it taller as well. Just start the face lower down, use the same principles, and then it would actually stick, kind of fluff up a little bit on his head. But for this one, I just like doing this, having it kind of go down at this angle. Okay, so like I said, we cut this out. This line defines where the hat is sitting on the head. Okay. And then the next thing that we're going to want to do, you can kind of cut it in a little bit to make the hat stick out slightly. And that will make it look realistic. Keep kind of defining the hat, and eventually you'll get it where you want it, so that it's featuring heavily on the bear. And then do the same thing around this little white ball here, whatever this thing is called, the little pom-pom on the Santa hat. Cut that out. Okay. And that is the basic gist, but we have to carve the rest of the bear now. So without further ado, let's quickly do that. Carve this down as usual, as we've already talked about many times. And then get rid of the sharp edges here. Okay. And then his paws can be wherever. We could put his paws in front of him for a change. You know, we could cut his paws out like this, so that they're kind of sitting in front of him. He can be grabbing something. It's up to you. This is your creation. So whatever you want him to be doing is what he'll be doing. Or she. Could be a girl. Okay. Define these arms. You could honestly paint or cut a little sweater into him as well. And that would be cool too. Or like a scarf to really denote that it's cold outside. Okay. We'll do the same on the other side. All right. Yeah, bears are my favorite thing to carve. They're also something I like to draw as well. I think I just like bears in general. So any chance I get to carve them or draw them or do whatever, I'm always doing it. Bears are they're kind of a simple animal to either draw or carve, but they are versatile in that you can do many things to make them more interesting. I guess as usual, we'll make this guy sitting down. Something like right here. I do sometimes make my bears standing, but I do like them to be sitting down. It kind of seems more, it just seems cooler that way to me for whatever reason. Okay. I can usually carve these bears fairly quickly because I've done, I don't know how many, maybe 50, maybe more. I don't know. I don't even know at this point. There's a lot. But this one's a little bit bigger, so he's taking a little bit longer. But yeah, I mean, I could just carve these things all day. I love them. There's something so cool about just like the simplicity, and also just you can make them just look so cool, and you can paint them up real nice, like this guy right here. I had a lot of fun painting him, you know, putting the little Santa hat on him. So that's cool. All right. Carve up, eliminate this little shelf below the hands, below the front paws, and then do our usual V-cut here for the feet, for the rear paws. And you can see how I have the rear paws painted here. You could do that, or again, however you want to paint them up. It's up to you. Do a small V-cut here just to separate the paws. And let's just dig out this right here. Let's take a look. Oh, gotta carve out down here. Then make this, round this off a little bit. This face actually isn't that great. Let's cut it back a little bit, because we're going to need to have a place for his eyes. So yeah, you can see. And right here, I would probably carve this out slightly more to reveal the hat. And that way it's more prominent. But, I mean, even that would work just fine. And then, like I said, just round it off on the back of the hat here. I mean, you could keep improving it all day, but at some point you got to stop. And so, yeah, hopefully this helps. And all those Christmas projects that you want to do, here's one more that you can add to the list. You can just carve a little bear wearing a Santa hat out of basswood. And maybe he's sitting on top of a chimney or something. You can carve a chimney in here. Yeah, awesome. Thanks for watching.